Welcome to part 2 of Werewolf, or Lycanthrope. Let's talk about the werewolf's character. As we know, the wolf and canines are rather territorial and they work in packs. We can take that mentality and develop it more thinking about clans and specific smaller groups. There would be a hierarchical system. They would be rather territorial. Would there be much bloodlust within their nature? Would they have a berserker mode when they're transformed, or would they still be relaxed and regularly mentally functioning characters? So those are things to think about. Just because all those stories talk about werewolves getting crazy when in hybrid form doesn't mean your werewolf has to be like so. Even though I like that notion of that craziness, you can keep your werewolf still intelligent, just taking on the benefits. Or maybe throughout ages of evolution, your werewolves in your clan have developed to be able to transform and still keep their intellectual outlooks. Also going with being territorial may be some selfishness. Classification: shapeshifter, hybrid, mammal, or humanoid beast, shapeshifter, mammal. Let's talk about some strengths. Alright, when in wolf form or werewolf form, they would have the instincts of a wolf, the senses, the strength, the increased strength, voice echo, the ability to voice echo. That's right, wolves have this ability to make noises so that the victim or their enemy feels as they are surrounded by many wolves, when in fact they are surrounded by only one or two because of this sound that they create. Also, they have claws and teeth. They have the ability to intelligently communicate in far distances in a way that is very distinct to their race and extremely difficult to decode by others. They can even create growls that are only picked up with their highly sensitive ears for large distances within the forests. They are also protected by fur. Why do male lions have manes and such things? Because that extra thickness and length of fur actually protects the neck. Also, with those claws, they'll be good at climbing trees, walls, jumping far distances, moving at incredible speeds, and intense awareness. Also in that transformation is that freedom and carelessness, and again, possibly that berserker craziness that increases all those abilities even more that have been mentioned. And back to communication, don't forget about howling, team attacks, and strategies in battle and hunting. Weaknesses: possibly lack of control. If you're following that ideology, then yes, once in werewolf form, they enter this berserk crazy mode where they lose control of their thoughts, their self-awareness, their morals and ethics go out the window, and they become this crazed, powerful beast. Or not. Also, do they have the ability to change at will, or do they only change at certain times, like once a year, or every night, or during only full moons, or when they get angry? That is also quite a large disadvantage. Is the transformation painful? Is it long? Do they expose themselves to easy attack during transformations, or are they quick? Also, because of the nature of shape-shifting and the size and shape changes, armor and weapons would be hard to use, but adjustable or custom armor is possible that changes and fits the creature as it transforms. Of course, regular clothes and materials would be ripped away, but possibly magical armor and such stretchable materials and things and magical items could possibly continue on protecting the werewolf. And also memory loss and all sense of fellowship, friendship, love. Is that all lost when they enter that berserker stage? Things to be considered as their weakness. How about the life society? As we already mentioned, looking at the wolf's life, we have them working in packs and being territorial. Therefore, we can safely relate this type of thinking to the werewolf, building upon how bloodlines would work and how important bloodlines would be in hierarchy and having a leader in the group and such. And how would leaders be chosen? Would it be through diplomacy or brutal ways such as fighting? Only the strong survive and lead type of ideology. Alright, now going into culture. As we've discussed, we have the clans. Are they more warrior based? Are they sort of tribal? Or have they evolved beyond that sort of brutal lifestyle? Are they more animalistic? If it's a large tribe of people like we have in the underworld movies, or do they remain intelligent when in human form but very beastly and animalistic when they transform? but if they have a way in their society to deal with that way of living. Are they protective? Are they nocturnal? As we know, wolves often hunt and scavenge at night. So is your werewolf race or character more nocturnal and quite sleepy during the day, or are they prone to take power naps whenever needed? Werewolves being carnivores and borderline omnivorous, they would probably be hunters and scavengers, as well as having the ability, most likely, to cook up something a little bit more vegetable and fruit based or mixed with their love of meat. Culinary arts can exist in any race out there intelligent enough to cook for themselves. Again, as we discussed in the weaknesses, armor and weapons are possible, but they would have to be modified or changeable to fit so that they work both when they are in human form or when they have been shapeshifted. And remember, we're talking here of a race of werewolves composing of men and women lycanthrope. Of course, in history and looking back at the original word meanings, they only related to men. Would magic be a part of their life? I'd say quite possibly. Shamanism, druidism, or druidry, those could be things that play a part. But do they lose the ability to control it when they transform it into werewolves, as that is such a magical event? Maybe it would increase some buffs or attacks and such things. Or possibly they can only cast certain spells when in werewolf form and other certain spells when in human form. Allies, enemies, and factions. I would say probably only similar species. As they are carnivorous in nature, it would be tough for them to comfortably hold a long relationship with another race out there, but possibly were races such as were felines or were foxes, something like that. It's a possibility. They don't have to be mindless beasts. It all depends how long your race has been existing for and how wise they have become and how much they have developed. Alright, now we come to the power level. Yes, power level 1 being a cockroach, 5 being a giant, and 10 being a celestial being able to control time and space. Yes, I would put the werewolf down as a 4. That's right, having good battles with ogres, trolls, and griffin out there, creatures that are roughly the same size and have a good bit of aggression to them. Their battle would probably consist of pouncing, the advantage of being extra crazy aggressive, that high energy explosiveness, although these things can also be a downfall to their attack. So if battling a werewolf, you may want to get in the position of impaling one, as that may be a win or lose situation right there. You can be sure they'll most likely pounce on you unless they have pretty good control over that aggression. Again, silver came later in history. Do you want to have that as a weakness of a werewolf in your stories? And as always with furry animals like this, fire. Fire would be quite something to threaten them with, as you know how flammable hair can be. Alright, let's go into some similar beasts out there. There's not too many, so I don't want to go overboard with this, but let's explore these. We got all other were beasts, such as were cats, were boar, were rats, anything that can shapeshift from human to animal. We can say that's somewhat related to this. Some concepts of the wendigo, the kitsune fox of Japan, the leshy, selkie, which specifically is basically a were seal. Berserkers were a tribe of humans known to go crazy when in battle and enter berserker mode, during which their bodies were also known to transform. We have the shapeshifting puka fairy. Then we have the encantado, which is a dolphin or sea snake shapeshifter from human form. Also the aswang of the Philippines, which was a black dog or bear shapeshifter. Of course, we can relate vampires because of the concepts of their shapeshifting abilities. Then there's also a concept of were women. That's right, we're women. Then we have all those hybrid monsters such as satyr, faun, minotaur, centaur, and the gorgons, and many others. Then we have Goku. That's right, the Saiyans. Take a look at the Saiyans. What happens to them at a full moon? Also, we have the Ursul of Dragonlance. Draconians being a certain hybrid themselves. The Skorenoi. Ratlings, another hybrid. The Tikbalang. Beastmen. Harpies, as more hybrid creatures. And then, of course, the dire wolf, which are basically huge wolves. And then again, going into animals, we got all the canine species. Alright, let's look into some sources. The sources are very, very many. We have cartoons, comic books, series, movies, games. The werewolf has been all over the place. The list of movies I found that contain werewolves contains over 150 titles. So I'm just going to mention a few here. First of all, The Wolfman from 1941. Probably the most iconic iconic look for the werewolf. A must-see for any fan. Howling, parts 1 through 8. Wolf from 1994 with Jack Nicholson. The Underworld movies. And as one of the top-rated out there, showing the werewolf in a great way, that aggressive, crazy manner that I like to see them as. An American Werewolf in London of 1981. And then going into the lighter side, Teen Wolf, the original Teen Wolf. A sort of light-hearted werewolf movie, but it has some great concepts in it as well. Then we got Twilight. Yes, I mentioned Twilight, because don't forget that there was actually a tribe and many other beliefs that believed werewolves were humans that would shapeshift into actual wolf form, regular wolf form, or the large ones as we mentioned. So Twilight did do a decent representation of that. Bad Moon was another one I rather enjoyed. So some say possibly underrated, but do check it out. That's How a Werewolf Should Look of 1996, and the Being Human TV series, which covers some pretty interesting aspects of the werewolf concept. And finally, I would like to mention the latest, best, in my opinion, which is The Wolfman of 2010. Excellent actors, and they took on the original werewolf appearance of the 1941 The Wolfman movie, turning it into a violent, bloody, testosterone-leaking, crazy ride. So do check that one out. Let me know what you think, and if there are any other werewolf movies that you think should be mentioned or I should check out there. There's so many, and I'll be working on watching them. Please let me know. Let me know what your favorite werewolf movie is. Alright, me enthusiasts, I hope you enjoyed this episode as we discussed The Werewolf. And please let me know, what creature would you like to see discussed next? And make sure to follow our World of Monsters group on Facebook for various other updates, visual updates, as well as these video updates. This has been Monster Master Arthur.